Let's go with another edition of the Kaufman Corner podcast. A little bit of a lineup shuffle. It's not Thursday. It's not Sunday either. It's Monday, and because of the holiday weekend, we go late. Rany traveling with the family. He is out. David Lesky is in, so the good doctor will be back next Sunday in his stead. We have David Lesky from Inside the Crown, his great blog. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. It's must reading for all Royals fans. We've got a lot to cover here today. We'll go as fast as we can. Did the Royals get it right with the call-ups? Caggleon, Jensen, Avila, all up every day for Kaggleon. Carter Jensen, how much should he catch? Where to use Avila? We'll take a look at the schedule. What's left on the playoff chase now for the Royals? Seth Lugo continues to struggle. Cole Ragans, what will his role be as he gets ready to return? How big of a problem is Jonathan India? He hit the IL. Is that actually a good thing? The Royals coaching staff, they're making pitchers better. How do they do it? And is there help coming from the waiver wire? There was last year. We'll see if there is this year. We talk about it right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by Rany Jazayerli and Soren Petro. Rany is a co-founder of Baseball Prospectus, author of Rany on the Royals, and a former columnist for Grantland, The Ringer, and The Athletic. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by David Starnes Allstate Insurance, covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff as well. Motorcycle, boat, ATV, you name it, get with Dave and he'll have you covered. Give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. And now, here are your hosts, Rany Jazayerli and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it as we are off and running here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. David, how about it? The call-ups are in. There's a IL move as well with Jonathan India, so 3 players coming up with this. Did they get it right? Jensen, Kaggleon, Avila coming up, India to the IL. Was this the right way to put this team together for a final push for the playoffs?
Based on what they have, yeah. I don't. What are the options? It's Harold Castro. I don't care. It's who else? Drew Waters, MJ Melendez. No. I mean, yeah, you could add somebody else to the 40-man, I suppose, but I don't even know who that would be at AAA because everybody who they've given a shot to has been added already. And John Rave, any of those guys. I'll be curious to see how Kaggleon and Jensen are used, but I mean, those two were tearing the cover off the ball in AAA. You want to score some runs, you get your best bats up, and those were the 2 best bats in Omaha. And I think that Carter Jensen, we can get into this a little bit, but Carter Jensen provides probably a bigger offensive boost because he gets Salvi out from behind the plate. And we've talked about that a billion times. Salvi catches less, Salvi hits more. So even if Jensen doesn't hit a ton, he's probably going to make Salvi better. So I do think, and Avila made sense. I mean, he's the guy who he was going to be up pretty much always. So I think it's right. I think that, I think they could have scoured the waiver wire a little bit. I didn't see anybody picked up who the Royals could have used. It wasn't, Tommy Pham last year didn't hit the waiver. Well, Tommy Pham this year didn't hit the waiver wire. Well, he did. I'm sure people just passed on him. There wasn't that guy there. I know they were looking, and the time has passed now, so they can't add anybody for the playoff push. They can still add somebody to get through 162, but I think they did right.
Yeah, I have no problems with it. I mean, I think the only question was it going to be Kaggleon or Jensen along with which arm, right? You can't bring up 2 pitchers. We knew they were going to bring up an arm. And I can't remember who I was talking to. Was it you? It might have been you. You and I were texting back and forth, and it's like, well, we're kind of describing, well, what were we going to talk about, and how will we do it based upon who it was? And we're like, well, if it's Kaggleon or if it's Jensen, and you're like, well, never mind. It's both.
Right.
So like that really was the only,
Yeah.
We both kind of thought, and you especially thought Avila was going to be the pitcher. And then it was a matter of which one of the bats. And when they had the IL, it kind of did take away all of it. I mean, to me, the nuance is how much are you going to play Caglianone, right? I mean, I think there's some people that are going to feel like, well, he's back, so he goes in every day. And, they've been hitting a lot better since he went out of the lineup, right? And I don't know that you want to fix what ain't broke. And so I don't think he plays every day. I mean, I think you spot him. He gives you some depth. I mean, if nothing else, he's a big weapon as a pinch hitter, a big, scary bat. Yes. And some pitchers will look at it and say, well, a big, easy whiff, right? But, I mean, he is a guy that if you make a mistake can crush it over the wall. That's not a bad weapon to have as a pinch hitter.
Yeah, I mean, look, and he didn't strike out that much when he was up in the big leagues before. I mean, the strikeout rate was 22%, which is below league average or right around league average. So, a lot of it was he was hitting a lot of ground balls, and he didn't do that in AAA. His launch angle in AAA was 13 degrees his second time through in his rehab stint. His launch angle when he was in the big leagues was 5 degrees. So did he fix it? I don't know. He's pretty clearly solved Omaha. Like I think there's an argument to be made that you can learn things even when you're dominating pitching if you are willing to stick to your lesson plan. And if you're willing to do everything you need to do because you know what you're doing in AAA that works doesn't work in the majors, if you're willing to do those things in AAA that might make your numbers worse, you can learn things. But he's dominating AAA pitching. What more is there to do down there? And so I think you're right. You have that guy on the bench who can hit a ball 450 feet in the bat of an eye. That is something that opposing pitchers can be scared of, and that's something that managers have to game plan around. You right now before Caglianone, the bench. Who are they going to bring up? Nick Lofton. Ooh. There's nobody. And I mean, I guess if somebody's getting a day off, like against a lefty, you got Yastrzemski on the bench, probably. Okay, great. But other than that, there's no fear. And so, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. How often do you think you're going to play him? I would say, I think he starts 2 or 3 days a week is my guess. And I mean, he can play into more than that, but to start, I think it's 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah. I think if that.
Yeah, maybe not that many.
I really do think that there's a chance that this is just, pinch hitterville. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think they'll find some spots, but you're 2 days a week. It's probably right. I mean, they don't want him to just go completely stale. So, I wouldn't be shy if there's a week where he only played once and you're looking back on it. It's like, well, it was, I mean, I know it's not going to be Scooble because they're done with the Tigers, but it was like lefty, then, a righty that so-and-so has owned his whole career and, whatever it might be. But, I do think that they are settling into where he may only start one game, but he may play in all 7.
Right. He'll get 8 at bats that week.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, I mean, I think that could happen. How much do you play Carter Jensen and sit Salvador Perez? You have been captain of the ship when it comes to less Salvi means better Salvi. What would you like to see, and then what do you think we're going to get?
Well, I mean, if I'm the Royals, I'm putting Carter Jensen behind the plate against every righty, or most righties, and Salvi at DH or first base. And they're not going to sit Salvi. So we can talk about it all we want. It's not going to happen. But the other thing that I think is interesting, and I didn't realize this until a week ago, maybe. And I just looked it up.
But I want to hang on real quick, because I want to distinguish what we think they should and then what they will. So
I would sit
should
Salvi.
It be a straight platoon and Caglianone is your DH? If Carter Jensen's in, then Caglianone's your DH. And if they then flip and come with the lefty, then you go to Salvi and
I don't know that I would sit Salvi that often, because I mean, they've faced so few lefties. And I was literally just thinking I hadn't thought about this before. The Phillies have 3 lefties in their rotation, but their remaining schedule, it's really righty heavy. So they're not going to see a ton of lefties down the road. So I don't think you can just sit Salvador Perez for every single game against a righty. I would probably play him 5 days a week and not 7 days a week. I'd sit him 1 or 2 days a week, and I'm trying to pull up the schedule right now because I'm curious. I hadn't thought about this, but the Phillies have 3 lefties. Cleveland has, I guess they have 2 now, so maybe there's a lefty there. Seattle doesn't. Toronto, I think Eric Lauer is in the rotation. The Angels don't have many. I mean, they may see 4 lefties in the last 25 games, which 4 or 5, which is great because they've struggled against lefties. That lefty lineup is sad, but I would probably sit Salvi. They're not going to, but as long as he's not catching every day, I would catch Jensen 4 days a week. Figure out how you want to DH him. You want to sit him one day. That's fine. But so this is what I was going to say. I think is interesting against righties in the minors this year. 286, 373, 540. Against lefties, 304, 388, 393. He's hit lefties. That's the minors. You're not.
Could we find, like, I don't know, have you done the numbers? Is that more common than we realize? Because it's kind of like, anybody who can throw left-handed where the shit's in the big leagues.
Right. It very well could be. I'm just curious. I'm going to look up like Nick.
I've never looked at it, but I just had that. I'm like, I wonder.
It could be. Let me look up Nick Prado real quick because he's the perfect example of you don't want to be him. Sorry if Nick's family is watching and listening, but oh well, oh my god, this might be a bad example. He's got a 580 OPS against righties and 697 against lefties. Let me try somebody else. Let's look up John Rave. Let's look up a guy who had a little big league success this year, even if it wasn't much. Boy, Prado, wow, we could talk about him for an hour. And
no, we couldn't, because you said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if his family's watching. I think they gave up a year ago. So,
that year, you're probably right. Well, John Rave, 761 OPS against righties, 924 against lefties. So there might be something to that.
Yeah.
They're very well.
I like my theory. I hatched that one on the fly.
That's a good one. I write that one down. Well, we can explore later. But I do think it's interesting, at least, that lefties haven't killed him. And I'd play Jensen. I'd catch him 4 days a week. I'd play him 5 days a week, at least.
Yeah. Avila to the bullpen, right? Like, that's his role. And how much better does he get in there? He's a long guy. And does he take
for now
Long's place?
We talked about it on. I like that. He's the long. He's the new Sam Long guy. We talk about it Thursday. I think it was Thursday when I was saying I think the Royals need one more just fire thrower in the bullpen, and he's that guy. I mean, I don't know if he'll become that. I don't know if he'll be good enough to pitch the 7th inning. Jonathan Bolins looks pretty good since he's been back. Maybe he's that guy. But maybe Avila's that guy. I don't know. I think he makes sense though, because I think bullpen's his long-term home. But yeah, I'm excited to see him. I think the bullpen got at least a little scarier. He's kind of Caglianone-ish in that he provides some fear for a hitter, right? Like you don't want to face him. He might not throw you a strike, but you really don't want to get in the box against him. And kind of the same as Kaggleon at the plate. You don't really want to face him, even though you might strike him out.
Yeah. Everybody gets to add guys. So, right, it's not just the Royals that are getting deeper. Everybody,
which is really unfair. It should be only the Royals.
Right. But it is the first time that we're talking about some premium talent. All these guys are real prospects.
Yeah.
Right. What they're going down and getting are real prospects. This is not which may work against them in the sense that it's not a trick, Terrence Gore. Okay, the ultimate base stealing weapon that really can help you out. And these are guys that, as we saw with Jac Caglianone, yes, he's a talent. Yes, we think long term he's going to be really good, but right now may be overmatched, and so may add nothing to you. But it also might be that now he's had his up down, and now he's ready to come back up and be the guy. And maybe Carter Jensen is a guy that's ready. It's been a long time since the Royals had a prospect just hit the ground and take off, and maybe he's the guy to do it. And so that part I think is exciting, that you've got real talent coming up. And, Avila could be nice. And I know they didn't want to stunt his long-term growth, but this bullpen's been kind of lacking. We talked about it last time that, they're a little thin after the top 4 guys. And if his stuff takes a notch up, we've seen a lot of guys that were good quality starting pitching prospects that aren't quite ready to be a starting pitcher, but then come on late, and when the stuff ticks up, they come into that bullpen and they end up being a big piece of a run through the playoffs.
Well, look at the guy who's going to finish second for the Cy Young. I mean, Garrett Crochet was outstanding out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And now he's starting and fine. And obviously that's where he should be. And I'm not saying you're going to see Avila get to that spot, but yeah, you see these guys all the time. If you have good enough stuff to start and then you're just letting it air out for an inning at a time, you're probably going to be pretty solid out there. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to predict it, but I wouldn't be surprised if on September 23rd, I don't even know if they play that day, but if they play that day and the Royals have a lead in the 7th, they go to Avila. It could be Avila or Esteves. That's the threesome right there. That would not shock me at all.
Yeah, no, it's a a good problem to have. Is that what they say? Is that how they like to put it? Yeah. A good problem to have for the Kansas City Royals. We'll see what they end up doing with each of the guys. We'll also talk about what we got schedule-wise, what we can expect for the playoffs, where the Royals sit right now. We'll do that after you hear from our friends at David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. David Starnes Allstate Insurance, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. With David Starnes Allstate, it's not just about fender benders. Beyond traditional safeguards, enjoy perks like roadside assistance for unexpected breakdowns, transportation expense coverage when your car is in the shop, auto replacement protection to keep you on the road in style, and much more. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, David, let's talk about what they got coming up now. 3 versus the Angels, 3 versus the Twins. These 6 games are absolutely critical because then 4 at Cleveland, 3 at Philly, 3 versus the Mariners, 3 versus the Blue Jays. The Mariners games, it's great. You got them head-to-head. Yeah, you got them head-to-head. But I always love how everyone's like, well, we got those games head-to-head. Yeah, but they're hard. They're hard games. Yeah. You take those back and give me 3 more with like the Pirates, right, which the Yankees have, and the Red Sox. I mean, there's all these cush games for them. Give me 3 with the Rockies, right? Like, I'd much rather have that. I understand that. Well, when you win head-to-head, I get that part. But you're not likely to go in and sweep them. You're likely to go in and sweep the Rockies. As it sits right now, what do you think on their chances with where they are in the wild card standings?
I mean, I still think 86 wins is what gets them there. And I think that will. I still think that'll do it. So that's 16-9 the rest of the way. Seattle is still losing. They're down 5-0. So I would guess that maybe by the time we're done here, they're 2.5 back, and that's great. But I still think 86 wins is what they need. I laid it out on, I did it. I put it out in there again this morning in the weekend in review, but a couple weeks ago, I put it out there. I think that you've got to go probably 5-1 these last 6 games. And if you don't, you've got to make it up in Cleveland. You've got to win 3 of 4 instead of splitting against the Guardians. Because I've got I'll just go through the series that I have: 2-1, 3-0, LA and Minnesota. It doesn't really matter which order it is. Split 4 in Cleveland. You can lose 2 of 3 in Philly, but then you've got to win every series 2 out of 3 the rest of the year. That leaves some opening. Like that last week, we've talked about that. The A's are way better than we think, than the record shows. But a lot of young players, kind of the first full year for a lot of those guys, maybe they hit a wall. I don't know. I'm not going to predict it, but I could see it. I've got 2 of 3 in each of those series, so it's possible they could win 5 of 6 total, and that makes up a game somewhere. But I think they've got to win 16 more games somehow. It'd be great if they just win the next 16 and not have to worry about it, but that's not going to happen. So these next 6 are huge because the Angels are not good. The Twins are not good.
Yeah, the Rangers slipped in front of them. They're losing as well, right?
Are they still
in this conversation? Yeah, down 3-2.
Hmm.
Right?
I'm looking. It's the 5th though, so we'll see.
Yeah, they got a ways to go. So, but right now, Fangraphs has it at 10% that the Royals make the playoffs. So no lock by any stretch of the imagination, but still 10% chance that they get in there. I think that's probably about right. I want to. People get excited. Oh, it's 14%. It's like, that still sucks. When you get to 50 or you get to 40, wake me up. But until then, it's a long shot. And the Rangers getting in front of them is a problem. That's why these next 6 games are absolutely critical. Absolutely critical for them, because I see no path, because you're running out of games. There's just no way to get there unless you're going to have success here, because like I said, then it's 13 games against Cleveland, Philly, Seattle, and Toronto. And then there's just 6 more. Granted, the Angels and A's, and as you mentioned, the A's are playing tougher. I do think by that final series, I mean, they're either going to be hell on wheels, like, hey, we're going to be tough as nails next year. Let's finish strong, fellas. Or even they will be looking for vacation. But, I mean, the schedule's not on their side right now. They really needed to find a way to take 2 out of 3 from the Tigers.
The schedule's not, and the calendar's not. Yeah. And although I will say I did this exercise and I had the Royals losing 2 of 3 to the Tigers to get to 86 wins. So the problem, I did this 22 games ago, and I had them at 13-9 in the first 22 games. They went 13-9. That's good in a lot of ways, but also bad, because if they go 14-8, they could lose a game that I had them winning, and it opens up one more. Now they just have to figure out a way. They can't lose another game they shouldn't lose, and with less time to make, it's the reason why the 9th inning is different than the 7th. You give up a run on the 7th, you got time to make it up. You give up a run on the 9th, the game's over. You lose a game in late September, you don't have time to make that up. And it is what it is. And I mean, they still can make it. And I think 10% is right. I think if you look at it you run the season 100 times, they make the playoffs 10 of those, I would totally buy that. I don't think they make it a lot more than that. But look, they were 40-47 7 weeks ago. So to be talking about this is really fun. But they're facing an uphill battle that they put themselves in that spot. So there's nobody to blame, but they're facing an uphill battle, but it's possible.
Yeah. I just don't quite have them getting there.
I don't either.
I've got them going like probably 4-2, 6-7, which would be 10-9, and then 4-2, which would be 14-11, finishing up with 84 wins. That's kind of where I feel. And I'm not even convinced 86 is going to get it done. Are you?
I think it does. Well, okay. First of all, the Mariners should be better than this. I mean, 100%. But the Mariners, maybe I'm remembering wrong. The Rangers have a kind of tough schedule. So that's helpful for the Royals. The Mariners' schedule, I believe, is fairly difficult. I'm looking right now. At Rays, that's a tough place to play because it's weird there. And they're struggling tonight, obviously. At Braves, the Braves are playing some better baseball, but also not good. Cardinals, Angels, Royals, Astros, Rockies, and then Dodgers at the end. So they have some spots to really pick up some games, but they're not playing well. I don't know let's see, what's their record? Their record is 80. I had it up and I lost it. not an 80. They're 70, 73 and 64. Probably going to be 73 and 65. That's on pace for 86 wins. I think 86 gets it done if they win the Mariners series.
Okay.
87 if they don't.
Okay. Can they get there with Seth Lugo continuing to struggle? Because we keep thinking, okay, there it is. There it is not. He is not getting better. And even the game that he looked good, he gave up a couple of home runs in that one game where you're like, oh, okay, there it is. He's found it. He really hasn't pitched well for quite a while.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. He started the first game of the second half, pitched poorly. They're 23 and 17 since the break. I don't think that pace is enough. And the difference is Seth Lugo. So I don't think they can I don't think they can make the playoffs unless he at least puts forth some competent starts. They can make the playoffs if he's average. He's not even close to average right now. It is absolutely brutal watching him pitch. Everything is down the middle or way outside. Mac Quatrero, I actually love the way he put this. I'd never thought about it this way before. He talks about, we want our pitchers to force the hitters into a decision. Seth Lugo has not forced a decision from a hitter. He just doesn't. There is no question. It's down the middle, swing. It's not even close, take. And that's all he's thrown now for 6 weeks. I don't know how they make it unless he at least gets to average. And I don't know how you can predict he gets to average at this point, which is doom and gloom, but it's true. It's gone on for so long that it's not, this is just a rough couple starts, which could have been, but it isn't.
Yeah, no, it's and it seems so hard to think, it's not just that like, oh, they need Lugo to be a star. They need him to not be bombing.
Yeah.
1 out of every 5 games, right? Like you need to be competitive in all of them. You need Noah Cameron to continue to be competitive. You need to be able to hang your hat on, we're going to win on Lugo's, and then Cameron's going to keep us in the game, and hopefully we find a way to win someplace else. That's the way it needs to be. But right now they're looking like, well, we're gonna lose Lugo's start. Okay. And Cameron is, a little bit of reality is kind of setting in there. It's like, I'll be honest with you, I give him mad credit. I saw no path to getting there without Ragans and Bubic. None. It's part of the reason why I said they were dead on June 15th, but Bergert has stepped in and pitched like those guys. I mean, and is giving him, great outings. But like right now, the rotation, even Michael Walker's taken on a little bit of water. Michael Walker would be helped if they didn't have, Thornton roaming around in center field. That would have been, that was a huge play in that game.
Wouldn't have hurt him to have Isbell out there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, which I've heard that, everyone like, well, you got to have, I understand you're trying to get some offense against Skubal, but you're also trying to get a day off for Isbell, people. I mean, it's not just that they went righty lefty. It's that they were trying to get a day off for Kyle Isbell. And, you roam around center all the time. Your legs need a day off as well. I mean, if you're on the roster, you have to play. And so, I mean, why do you want Isbell going in there against the best left-hander in baseball? You don't. I mean, like, turn it around. Like, everyone after the fact is like, oh, no, I can't believe they did it. Well, then you don't watch baseball. You can tell me, and you can give me reasons to have gone ahead and played Isbell. But when you tell me you can't figure it out, or what was he thinking, and you act like this is the act of a madman, you don't know baseball. This is the perfect time. This is when everybody gives their lefties a day off. Their second-tier lefties especially. There's no point in letting them go up here. Stop acting like Kyle Isbell is now suddenly, everyone's idea of an everyday left-handed hitting center fielder. He's not. He's had a great season. He stepped up his game. But stop acting like you can't figure out what the thought process was here. The thought process, as it always is with Mac Quatrero, was sound. It just didn't work.
Right. Well, why do you think Isbell's got his best numbers of his career?
Because Mac Quatrero's his manager.
Yes, because he's playing against pitchers who he can succeed against. And that's true of all platoon players, right? You always get he's hitting this, he should be playing more. No, if he plays more, the numbers go down.
Right.
And I get that there's a balancing. It's like, it's the whole thing of, hey, if he's 30 for 30 in steals, he's not attempting enough steals. I get it. I do. But the reason that he's playing so well is because he's being put in advantageous situations, and playing against Tarek Skubal is not advantageous. And I get it. You can say you can either win with perfect defense or scratching a couple runs across. Well, they didn't do either. And Isbell wasn't going to help him score a run, and it didn't matter who caught that ball because they didn't score a run because Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher on earth.
Yeah.
Maybe second best.
And they've done such a good job that there's a lot of people, well, we always handle Skubal. Well, stop hanging your hat on that.
Also, they don't. They beat the Tigers when Tarek Skubal pitched twice. Yeah. Tarek Skubal threw 7 innings with 2 base runners the last time they faced him. They happened to win 1-0 against the bullpen. That is not beating Tarek Skubal.
I do think that, a lot of teams with their ace on the mound kind of let down offensively, or like, we only need to get 1 run, or we need to get 2, and the managers can play too much small ball. And I do think there is a path. I mean, if you bet baseball, which I've done at various points in my life, if you bet it and you go through the grind every day, you quickly find out that the aces are much more vulnerable than the lines that they lay, right? Like, the pitcher may be, 20-7, but the team in his 34 starts didn't go, 27-9, right? Like a lot of the ones that are no decisions, they lose because they've been too conservative with the starter out there. So the Royals have done a nice job of fighting and getting into the bullpen and beating the bullpen when Skubal's pitched. But I was a little irritated with some of the this is just, I don't know what he's thinking on this. Like, well, you're the one who's not thinking here, my friend. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're the one that's not getting it, as a matter of fact. We'll come back. We want to talk a little bit about Cole Ragans and where he's going to fit into this mix. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. David Starnes Allstate Insurance. Elevate your coverage, elevate your confidence, and drive worry-free. Covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff, as well as your motorcycle, boat, ATV, and you name it. Get with Dave, and he'll get you covered. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. All right, how do you use Cole Ragans when he's back? What's the plan right now with a guy that is a big part of not just this year, but next year's plans?
Yeah, I mean, I think he threw a bullpen, was that yesterday? They said he threw 2 up and downs, which is huge. That the bullpen is one thing, but to be able to sit, throw, sit, throw, sit, throw, that's massive. Yeah, I don't know how you get him to 5 or 6 innings though on a rehab assignment until it's just not, they don't have time. And so I think send him on a rehab assignment. You get him built up to 60 pitches and you let him go. Do you
even just say opener in front of somebody or long guy, and you don't even fool around? I mean, it's this is very complicated. And, you brought this up as a topic, and my initial reaction was like, what? And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, the timeline, which you just mentioned. And then, like, if you don't, and there's the element of, like, how important he is to the long-term future. You've invested money in him. Beyond, it's not like you can be like, oh, he's hurt, I'm out. They have guarantee. Like, I had some people say, well, what's the purpose of his contract? They're not really getting anywhere. I mean, the purpose is he's like, they're saying, we understand you've been an injury risk, and we're going to make sure you get paid all of your arbitration money. We're guaranteeing your arbitration money. That's what we're doing. It is goodwill to hopefully have him be healthy and then to set up signing him elsewhere, or just to make sure he is happy every day coming to the ballpark. Doesn't come one day and be like, screw this, I want out, right? That's what it was. But because of that, because you've got that money now invested in him, like what you want to do is be like, all right, he's active now, and we're going to use him for an inning, and then we're going to use him for 2, and then we're going to use him for 3. It is pretty complicated. The good news is they do have some other options.
Right. Well, so here's the problem. Ryan Bergert has thrown 108 innings this year, almost 109 innings this year. His career high was 2 years ago, 105 2/3. Noah Cameron's thrown 140 innings this year, right? His career high is 128.
And you're adding big league and minor league together. Correct?
Yes, the minors together. Yeah. They're facing a lot of the same issues they faced last year with guys, except for they're not facing it with veterans. Not that Ragans was a veteran, but he'd pitched in the big leagues. They're facing it with rookies, which is different than a Seth Lugo, than a Cole Ragans, than a Michael Wacha, who hadn't thrown that many innings in years. And so they're fighting it on two fronts. And so with Ragans, I think you probably pair him. I would personally, if you want to back off Bergert a little bit, and he's not quite there yet because he's only 2 innings over, 3 innings over. If you want to pair him with somebody, I always like the left-right. And I think it's okay. It's Cole Ragans' decision. Do you feel more comfortable warming up in the bullpen in the 3rd inning or warming up in the bullpen before the game? Where do you want to pitch? Do you want to start the game or do you want to come in the middle? And I don't think it matters, but you get 2 innings out of him. You get 3 innings out of him. You get 4, whatever you can get out of him, you take, because that's going to help you get to the later innings and win a game. I've seen some people say, bring him back as the flame-throwing reliever. I don't like that.
I don't
because it's not something he's done it, I guess. I feel like relievers.
You don't want to put a shoulder in uncharted territory.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at.
It's a shoulder. This is not a back. It's not a hamstring. It's not a glute. Right. It's not a groin. It's shoulder. It's what nobody wants to hear. So I don't think let's see how the shoulder reacts to this.
Let's see how it reacts to throwing 100% every pitch for 17 pitches. No, I don't like that. I understand the thought process. And look, maybe they go to spring training next year and they say, hey man, he's never going to be able to throw 200 innings or 175 innings. Let's see what he can do as a short reliever. Okay, that's fine. You want to look at that in spring training. I think that's very different than coming off a major shoulder injury. So yeah, I think you throw him as many innings as he can go. And I think you do it wherever he feels most comfortable. If he says, I want to start warming up in the 1st inning and come in the 4th, cool, do it. If he says, I want to start warming up at 5:45 for a 6:40 start, great, do it. Whatever makes sense. And you can start to mix those innings. And I see Avila in the chat mentioned as a long-term option or a long reliever option, and you pair him there. I think you're going to have to pair Cameron too, and maybe Berger. And all of a sudden you're looking at 2 piggyback spots through the rotation, 2 to 3 every time, which is okay. I mean, they've got the arms now for that. They can do that. Kolek too. Kolek can come up. We haven't even talked about him. He pitched well. Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday night. He looked good. I think that he's a guy you could put in that mix as well. But I just do think you have to do what makes Ragans feel comfortable, because you're right. He is signed for 2 more years, plus he's got 1 more in arbitration. Obviously, that's not guaranteed, but you're invested in him. He's invested in you. Make it work. Yeah. However he feels comfortable, make it work. That's my thought.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's it's tricky. It's tricky. You don't want to get this wrong, right? You don't want to get this wrong on the long term. I know, when you have a chance in the playoffs, the Royals went for it. In some ways, you're like, well, hell, they could have sold, but they bought, so he's got to come back. They didn't when they bought, they didn't. The currency they used was nothing that was part of the plan for the future. Right. If you throw him and blow out that shoulder, that is part of the plan for the future. So I get it. Hey, are we going for it or not? Yeah, you're going for it, but not at the expense of the future. It was definitely going for it, because they definitely didn't acquire anything for the future.
If they were mortgaging the future, Carter Jensen would have been a September call-up for another team. Truly. Yeah. He would have been traded. I can guarantee you, if they wanted to get whatever they wanted to get, they would have traded Carter Jensen. They would have had to trade Carter Jensen for that. And that's mortgaging the future. Trading Cam Devaney is not. So, again, sorry if the Devaney family is listening. But you have to worry about 2026 with Cole Ragans. And look, they've been, I don't know what the record is since he got hurt. Obviously he got hurt early in June. So all of June was there, but they've made this comeback. You mentioned it, without him, mostly without Chris Bubic, actually almost entirely, because they didn't start playing well until Bubic was out. So they've done this without those two, which, by the way, if they can come back healthy, how good do you feel about 2026? I mean, come on, that's obviously an offseason topic, but if they did this without those guys, you feel pretty good about next year.
Yeah.
But you got to, next year is as important as this year at this point, because they're not really any team makes the playoffs as a World Series contender. It's baseball, crapshoot, all that. They're not really a World Series contender. They're a playoff contender. And you want to make sure that you're a World Series contender next year.
Yeah. And that's where Aiden says, is it even worth trying to bring him back? It is, as long as it's part of the natural process of getting him healthy, right? Like, I think it's a legitimate question to ask, right? It is, if you can do it while keeping him healthy for the future. Right?
Well, we talked about it on the show, a month ago. You almost need to bring him back to see him, because they're not going to get to see Chris Bubic. The next time Chris Bubic pitches against a team competitively will be in Surprise. And if you can get, and again, you don't rush him, but if you can get Cole Ragans back in September, you can at least see, okay, we feel good about this. We feel good about his arm, that he can be a big league pitcher again. We think Chris Bubic is going to come back. We don't know. We have no idea, because we're not going to get to see him, because he won't even be, he's a month and a half behind Cole Ragans. So we're not going to know anything on him. I think it's important to see Cole Ragans, to see how he looks.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you do want to get a feel for what you've got right now. And yeah, just because that's why it's like I said, it's part of the normal process. This is what you would do. Like, if it's a baseball season, this is the timeline that you would bring him back. And I think in some ways you want to push the envelope, not push it, but you want to, if surgery's coming, you want to get to it sooner rather than later, as opposed to just sit and don't do anything. And then he throws and he kind of feels it, but he shuts it down, and then you get to spring training, and now he breaks down, and now you're out all of 26 and then part of 27. That's what you don't want.
Or all of 27. I mean, we look at Kyle Wright, shoulder injury. And that's exactly kind of what happened with him. He got hurt, came back toward the end of the year in 23, and they knew, and he had surgery and missed all of 24, which the Royals knew was going to happen. And they got him anyway. It was a worthwhile risk. It was, but they knew he needed surgery because he came back in September and still hurt. So you have to do it that way. I think if he's ready to come back, this is not just bring him back and say, and throw all caution out the window. Yes. If he's ready, you have to see if he can pitch.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Jonathan India. I mean, is the injury a good thing? I mean, the way he was playing, I mean, are they a better ball club not trying to fit him? There are times he's going good and you're like, oh, they moved him down the lineup. Now this is it. Here he goes. Other times that, no, not so much. Like, what do you make of are they better right now with him out of the lineup?
I mean, he's, what is he, 6 for his last 36? Is that right? I looked that up a couple of days ago. Since the home run against the White Sox, that big home run in that comeback, 6 for 36, 1 double, 11 strikeouts, 7 walks. He's working walks, which he always does. So, yeah, and he doesn't play good defense. I think so, and we'll probably know more tomorrow. We haven't heard from Matt Quatraro about that yet, but I think they're better without him. My question for you: does he play another game for the Royals?
I mean, as in, don't go to arbitration and just let him
non-tender,
go, or as in trade him to somebody else?
Well, either non-tender. Look, he's going to make. He's $7 million this year ish. It's a arbitration avoided contract. He's going to make $8.5 to $10 million in arbitration.
Where did I see? I'm looking to see if there's
I haven't seen estimates out yet, but just looking around, I looked at a few names like Gleyber Torres in his 3rd year got $10 million, better than Jonathan India. Ahmed Rosario got $7.8 million in his third year. Gio Urshela, but this was years ago, got $6.5 million. Adam Frazier got $8 million in his third year of arbitration. Jonathan India is getting $8 million, $8.5 million, $9 million, somewhere in that range.
He's still got a career on base percentage of over 350.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but they've seen he can't play defense. They don't feel comfortable with him anywhere.
There's a reason he's listed on one of the contract sites at DH.
Right. I mean, and even if he's playing second base, he's a DH. So are the Royals going to pay a guy who doesn't actually hit that well $9 million to DH?
I would, and I'll tell you why, because I think, it's why renting a player is dangerous, because like you can pretty much count, if you got a guy for 2 years, one's going to be good, one's going to be bad.
Sure.
I mean, guys don't, what was it? Weren't you the one who said average players don't play average all the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's like they have a good year and they have a bad year, and then that gives you the average. Well,
That's
hopefully
fair.
This is the bad year, and you can be like, okay, next year will be the good year. I mean, I do think it's going to be a really interesting offseason because there is depth.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can live with him at second base if you really can hit everywhere else, if you can really defend everywhere else. And I think they pretty much can. You could live with Michael Massey playing you better defense and not hitting much. You get better defensively if you get India to DH. I think there are a lot of paths that they can go, and it might just be like, can we find a great third baseman? Hey, a third baseman just fell in our lap. Then Maikel Garcia is playing second, and the rest of you riff-raff will figure out. Massey becomes, a utility player. India becomes expendable either by cutting to have the money to spend on the third baseman you found. Like they have a lot of directions that they can go in the next offseason, and a lot of it might be that Jonathan India is not part of the equation.
Yeah, but if he's a DH, think about this: Carter Jensen, Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, Jac Caglianone. And let's throw Mike Yastrzemski in there. I think that there's probably some mutual interest there to come back. I would be surprised if there's not. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'd be surprised if there's not interest. That's 5 players for 4 spots. They already can't play. I mean, I guess you could left field. You could probably put one of them. Like we might see that. September will help us know how they want to handle that. But is there even room for India to DH? I mean, sometimes.
But I mean, this is where at some point though, like we've always got to get at bats for Salvi. Like part of the conversation with Salvador Perez might need to be, listen, Salvi, we love you. You're better with some rest. We don't want you to play first base anymore. We don't need you to play first base anymore. You will in a spot here and there against a tough lefty. You're going to DH here and there. But let's be clear. Your days of 140, 150 games, wherever the spots might be, are over. Carter Jensen is going to catch with you. We want you to mentor him. We're thinking 4 days you, 3 days him, with maybe one more day of you someplace else. This is the plan for you, Salvi. It's 110 games, and we think this is going to make you better, and we think this is going to help your Hall of Fame career. And we're so invested in this working that we're going to give you a new deal where we pay you, 15 and 15. You were going to get 13 and a half. You're going to get 15, or we're going to give you 17 and 17 because you're that important to us. And this is our way. $4 million to make you $4 million extra this year to make you happier. So, whatever it is, but we're giving you the extra year, the extra security, but this is what you have to buy in. And we need your leadership, and we need you bought in on this. And we think if you do buy in, this is going to help your numbers. This is going to help the ball club. This is going to help your Hall of Fame chances. Please, let's do this. That's what. So then you don't feel a need that like you got to keep getting Salvi in the lineup.
But even so, if with Yastrzemski, Pasquantino, Kaggleon, and Jensen, even then that's 4 guys for 4 spots. You still don't have a spot for Jonathan India, and that's with Salvi taking that spot sometimes. I have a hard time unless he's playing second base, which I don't know that they love that, seeing him out there. And if you think for a second that they're going to let Adam Frazier go somewhere else, I would be shocked if he's playing outside of Kansas City next year. The way that they've talked about bringing him back, he's going to be a Royal next year. I mean, I guess some team, some team might give him 2 and 20 and you're going to laugh at him, but it's Adam Frazier's going to be back for 1 year and $6 million or whatever it is. I don't know that there's a spot for Jonathan India. next season. I think it's a very interesting conversation to have.
Why is the Royals coaching staff seem to make pitchers so much better? I mean, is it just Brian Sweeney? Is it their understanding of the analytics? Is it Daniel Mack's team feeding them the right numbers? Is it somebody actually reading the numbers Daniel Mack's team is giving to them? Like, what is it that's made them now a team that can bring anybody in and make them better? We saw it for Kolick, and we saw it for Bergert, obviously, Cole Ragans. Like, what is the magic formula here?
Well, I mean, Waka, Lugo last year. I mean, and Lugo up until mid-July this year. I mean, there's a lot of data points. I think they're just really good, and they're to me, they're really good and they're diverse. So you've got Brian Sweeney, who's just a really good overall pitching coach. Zach Bove, really good with the numbers. Mitch Stetter, I think, is really underrated with this group. He does a lot with grip, with pitch grips and delivery and all that. But then you go down into the system. Justin Friedman's a name. It was Andy Rogers wrote about this like 2 years ago, I want to say, when the system was turning around. The pitching in the system was starting to get better when the big league club was just horrible. And she highlighted Justin Friedman, and I remember that quite a bit. He is he's such an interesting guy because I think he's 27, maybe 28 years old now. He didn't make it. He pitched, didn't make it. Everybody I've talked to says this guy knows everything. He's got the analytics. He's great with deliveries. He's great with pitch grips. He's great with pitch shape. He's great with everything is great. The Royals are going to lose him and I think that's the sign of a good organization when you start to see guys leaving. And he's a guy. And then, oh my God, what's his name? I'm blanking on the guy from the Nationals, Paul Menhart. They got him. They signed him, or they hired him 2 years ago, I want to say. And I was actually talking with somebody from the Nationals when the Nationals were here, and he was just lamenting that they let him go, and that the Royals picked him up. Just a good mind, and I think it's what good leaders do. They surround themselves with really smart people, and they surround themselves with people smarter than them, because I think it's really important to if you're the top of a food chain, it's probably important that you're not the smartest one. And I think that, and Brian Sweeney might be, I don't know, but I don't think he's afraid to have somebody smarter than him. And organizationally, they're just a lot of smart people.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's simple.
Well, and I think it's embracing the modern approach to baseball in every capacity. It's not just taking a little bit of it here, but we still want to be a curveball, fastball team. We still want to. We're gonna push it together. We're gonna take the best of this over here, and it's like, no, this over here is the best. Get it over here and understand where it's at. Yeah. I think the other thing is, one of the things I think is clear is they are not afraid to really tinker with the pitchers. I mean, they have fully embraced that pitchers are going to get hurt, and we are not going to panic about it. Seth Lugo's never thrown this many innings. I don't care. He's going out there. And if we do that with every one of our guys, and that means we can make twice as many big league pitchers, we can afford twice as many injuries. Right? I mean, I do think there's part of it. And I'm sure there's a conversation like, hey, what about this? How does that feel? Now, listen, we might be putting some stress on a shoulder, elbow. You got to, feedback. I'm going to tell you the mindset of the player. I'll just never forget talking to Greg Holland when I asked him about Mariano Rivera going to a cutter to reduce the wear and tear on his arm. I said, you ever thought about that? Like, finally he's like, listen, getting big league hitters out is hard. I have to use every weapon I have, and I will for as long as I can. And if that's what they're signing up for, then you're a fool to not give them more weapons. Yeah. If they recognize, like, listen, I might be able to be, Luke Hudson and have a 2-year career where I kind of fart around, or I might be able to be some journeyman with a career 4.80 ERA, or I could have 3 badass years of mowing guys down with a 2.76. Sign me up for that. And if that's
and probably get a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that there's a lot of like they blow out before you ever get to have to pay them. And I do think that's why it's going to be important. If Noah Cameron, it would have been especially with the way they've stayed in the race. One thing I think the Royals might want to learn from this is like they stayed in the race after Chris Bubich went down. Chris Bubich was a very hot commodity, according to Jeff Passan. and anybody who could just look at it and go like, hey, if we're putting Chris Bubich with another year of control out there, and you can have him to finish this year, like they got to be willing to go, our plan wasn't to trade him, but we just got offered this, this, and this. We got to do it. And like, if they can settle into, we can do this again. And there'll be a time where they move Chris Archer before he blows out. They move Jameson Taillon before he blows out, right? Like, because they're not afraid of having to build another pitcher. They know they can do it. And I think there'll be a better ball club for it. So,
well, and we're going to find out a lot. I think, they've got Ben Kudner just got to AAA. He's had 2 bad starts. I'm not worried yet.
I gotta slow the roll on.
I'm not saying he's going to be a big league. I'm saying he's the first of these guys to get to AAA. And Panzini, I guess, also got there. But what I was going to say, behind them, you've got these guys. You've got a Drew Beam who is he doesn't have a high ceiling, but I think he could be a big leaguer fairly quickly. But then you got David Shields and the Kendry Chorio. Those guys, we're going to find out first of all, how good they are at developing arms to the big league level. And I'll go back. Ben Kudner, if they turn him into a 3 or 4 starter at the big league level, I mean,
agreed.
That's everything. And but the reason I brought him up is just because he's the first one really of that group of the group, and he was drafted before the new regime, but he was in the lower levels when they took over, and so I think that he's kind of the first guy to get there. But we're gonna find out real soon. Do they believe they can graduate 2 guys every year? Because if you can graduate 2 pitchers every single year, you can trade 1 or 2 every year too. And if you can do that, you're golden. It doesn't matter that you can't develop bats. You just trade for them.
Yeah.
you trade. You say, okay, which one of Shields or Chorio do we want to keep? And you pick one, and maybe they're both in the big leagues for 2 years. And you say, hey, this guy's about to hit the year before arbitration. We're going to trade him, and we're going to go get the next right field bat. And then 2 years later, you've got another Shields and Chorio, and another Shields and Chorio, and another Shields and Chorio. I mean, it's just, we're going to find out real soon. And I think in the next year or two, how they handle that. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Dayton always was famous for saying, pitching is a currency in baseball. And it was a great statement by him. But he never spent it.
No,
he stuck it in his mattress. He never spent the currency.
Well, he also never had it really.
He never really did. Yeah. That's a great point too. Yeah. He
but
never did
that's on his organization for not developing anybody.
Yes.
I mean, Noah Cameron doesn't develop in the Royals organization 5 years ago. Noah Cameron is never a big leaguer if he's 5 years older. And actually, you know what? That's not fair. Kudner is not the first. Cameron's the first. He got there and he's been successful. So we've seen it. Now they need to repeat it multiple times.
Real quick, going out the door, any help from the waiver wire? They did a great job on the waiver wire last year. You see anything that can help?
Deadline passed for playoffs doesn't mean you can't pick anybody up. I still could see them going to finding a reliever out there, because that bullpen is it's funny because it's like, okay, who do you send down when Cole Ragans comes back? It's Sam Long, right? I mean, he's the obvious guy. After that, it's not quite as obvious at the big league level. So, maybe they look at that and say, we don't know. We don't have anybody that we really want to get rid of, because you can't send Bolin down now. And I think they like Jonathan Bolin. He's used up all of his options for the year. Maybe Daniel Lynch, I guess.
Lynch is where I was going.
Lynch is the one I honestly forgot. I forget he exists until he comes into games. Truly. I never remember about him, but I could see that. Won't be able to help a playoff roster if they make it. But yeah, I listed some bullpen guys last week. I could see that maybe, but I think they didn't like what was out there, and so they're rolling with what they got.
Yeah. They certainly don't have the big. Let's knock on wood that they don't have the big knee like they did when Vinny Pasquantino went down.
And good thing he got hurt when he did. Truly, I mean, because if he got hurt 2 days later, they wouldn't have been able to get. I mean, they still could have gotten him, but Pham would have been claimed, and Pham wasn't good, but they needed him.
Yeah,
it's like what was it, 2014 when Hosmer got hurt the night of the deadline. Like the deadline was 5 o'clock, he got hurt at 8 o'clock. And they still have the second deadline, so they can go get Josh Willingham. But Vinny getting hurt when he did was good timing wise, if he was going to get hurt. But yeah, hopefully they don't need anybody because there's nobody out there.
Hopefully you never need your insurance, but if you do, David Starnes Allstate Insurance has got you covered. Everything you could need, whether it's your home, your car, your boat, your RV, they have you covered. David Starnes Allstate Insurance. Give him and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. David Starnes Allstate Insurance, Kansas City's best. Also brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For more than 30 years. They've been solving parking lot problems, whether that's striping, whether that's bumpers, signage, maybe it's just some potholes, or maybe it's a brand new lot, the biggest lots in Kansas City. The best jobs are done by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Find them online at gannasphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot. If you've been hurt in an accident, like we almost were today, I had Northland Injury Law flash in my head as a guy ran a red light coming right at me and then almost swerved into us parked. I was like, oh, I was going to have to call Northland Injury Law. Fortunately, he missed us. Voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers. It's Northland Injury Law. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-HURT. And our friends at Italian Delight, Kansas City's first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to KC almost 50 years ago. Strombolis, calzones, sausages, hot and cold subs, lasagna, classic chicken Alfredo, plus daily lunch specials starting at under $10. Just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway on State Avenue. 8145 State Avenue, Italian Delight, KS.com. That's right. Order online right now at ItalianDelightKS.com. For David Lesky, for Rany Jazayerli, who's on vacation, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner Podcast.